Hi guys. Uh, I think we can wait a few more minutes and for people to come in, and then I'll get started on reviewing the homework from last week, which was revision 9. Okay, looks like uh nobody else is gonna come in, so I'm going to start sharing my screen, and yeah, let's get started. So first of all, um today I actually went through your submissions for this piece of homework, revision 9. And a lot of you, I think maybe it was a long time ago that we said like this digit stands for something else, but like, yeah, so maybe you forgot about it since it was so long ago. But when we say what does this digit stand for, we're saying what is its value, right? Instead of like this digit is in the thousands place. And it has a value of 5,000. Um, yeah, so when we say stand for, we're looking for the value here, not which place it's in. If it asks like which place is the digit 5 in for each number, then you can write thousands place. But here they said, what does it stand for? So here you had to write the value of the digit, which is 5,000. And likewise for here, it's in the tens place, but they're asking for the value. They're asking what it stands for, so we have to write 50. Okay, this one is pretty new because we just did fractions last week. So this one is on equivalent fractions, right? So here for the 2/3 for part A, we can draw arrows like this, and we say 3 times something equals 9. And then we know that, oops, 3 times 3 equals 9. So we have to multiply the bottom and the top by the same number, right? The numerator and the denominator. Remember the top number is the numerator and the bottom number is the denominator. Okay, so yeah, basically we just find what number this is multiplied by this, and we know that 3 times 3 is 9. So you have to multiply the top by 3 as well. So 2 times 3, which gives us 6. And then our answer here is 6 out of 9. Same thing for here. We look at 6 and we look at 3, and we know that 6 divided by 2 equals to 3. So we take the bottom, the denominator, and also divide that by 2. So in the end, we get 10 divided by 2 equals 5. So 6 out of 10 equals to 3 out of 5. That doesn't look like a 5. And then for the last part of this question 2, it's the same thing. So 6 times something equals 12. We know that 6 times 2 equals 12. So this number times 2 is 10. So we can reverse that by saying 10 divided by 2 equals to this number. And 10 divided by 2 equals 5. So that's how we get it. Here, they're asking for simplest form, not just an equivalent fraction. So you have to make sure that it can't be divided further. Like, for example, if you're not used to it, I suggest just starting with 2 or 3. Mostly the questions will give you 2 or 3 as factors as things you can divide by. So we see that if we divide both the numerator and denominator by 2, we get 4 out of 5. And then if we want to divide this further, we'd have to take this divided by 2 and that divided by 2. But you see, 5 is an odd number, and you can't divide that by 2. 5 is not a multiple of 2. So therefore, this is its simplest form. And you can't divide by anything else. Like if you try dividing by 3, neither of these numbers are divisible by 3, so that wouldn't work either. So your answer has to be 4 out of 5. I guess I can talk about common factors here. Like let's say number 2 equals to 1 times 2. And the number 4 equals, actually, say the number 6 equals to 1 times 6. It can be, this number 2 can also be 2 times 1. It's 1 times 6, or it's 2 times 3, or it's 3 times 2, and it is 6 times 1, right? So here, for the number 2, our factors of 2 are 1 and 2. And for 6, our factors are 1, 2, 3, and 6. So a common factor is if we have the same number in each list of factors, right? So we have 1 here and 1 here. And we also have 2 here and 2 here. But 3, we don't have 3 in the factors of 2, right? So that's not one of the common factors. So these common factors, you know how you can divide these numbers. Because if, for example, if our fraction was 2 out of 6, then we know that we can divide it by either 1 or 2. And dividing it by 1 wouldn't do anything really, so we can just ignore that. And we can divide by 2 straight away. So that's our simplest form. Usually we want to divide by the biggest common factor to attain the simplest form in the fastest way. But for now, you don't need to know all that. But if you want to, if you have any questions on that, and I'll be happy to answer. Okay, 9 over 12, 9 out of 12. We look at these numbers, and with enough practice, you'll be able to know immediately, without like writing it out or anything, that you can divide both numbers by 3, right? Both numbers are divisible by 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. And you can't divide that anymore by any other number, so our answer here is 3 out of 4, also known as 3/4, 3/4, whichever you like. Okay, this one I can demonstrate a bit more. So if we take this and divide both sides by 2, I think a general rule of thumb is to always start with like dividing by 2, dividing by 3, or dividing by 5. Or dividing, I don't think you need to know dividing by 7 just yet, because these are the smallest prime numbers that you'll encounter. And prime numbers are numbers that can only be divided by themselves or 1. Yeah, so always start with 2, 3, or 5. Like for example, here you can say divided by 2, or you can also say divided by 3, because these numbers are divisible by 3, both of them. But like if you tried 5, then it doesn't work, because 6 is not divisible by 5, and 12 is also not divisible by 5. So just start with 2, and then if it's not divisible, then try 3, and then try 5, try 7. Yeah. And then you just go down a list of prime numbers, if you know what a prime number is. But if you don't, then I think it's at this stage it should be quite easy to like guess what number you should divide by. Like, okay, anyways, here we can start with 2, right? So we get 3 out of 6. But we realize that 3 out of 6 can be divided further by 3. And we get 1 out of 2. Alternatively, you can just, this fraction is pretty easy because half is pretty recognizable. You notice that 6 is half of 12, right? Because 12 divided by 2 is 6. So you can just look at it and deduce the answer, but it doesn't work for all fractions, obviously. Okay, next question. This one you all got right. So it's just, why is it an arrow? Just arrange the numerators from smallest to biggest. Okay, for this one you have to convert. So 2/3 equals 2, and then we want the denominators to all be 9, right? Because it's easiest that way. So let's try writing on the side. So 3 times 3 equals to 9. So we have to multiply by 3 on the top as well, and we get 6 out of 9. So then from here on, we just compare the numerators, yes, and we get 4, 6, and 7, and we just arrange that in ascending order. You can't write like 6 out of 9 here because that's not what the question asked. So you have to write 2 out of 3. You have to convert it back into its original form. For this one, I think they want you to convert the numerators to be the same. So 1/2 equals to 3 out of 6. Because we want the numerator to be 3, because the rest of the numerators are 3. Yeah, and then from then on, we can just look at the denominator and start from biggest to smallest. So it's 8, and 6, and then 4. But we have to remember that this 3 out of 6 is not actually 3 out of 6. We have to write it as 1 out of 2, so half. Okay, this one should be pretty simple actually. You just, if one triangle stands for 5 people and you have 6 triangles, I need to count these. If you have 6 triangles, then obviously it's 6 times 5 is 30. I think you all got that right when I checked your homework. This is kind of like an introduction to algebra. You also got those right, so good. So in algebra we have like x's and y's and stuff like that. For now, I'll just talk about it just a little bit. So if x equals to 5, then 6x, which is the same thing as 6 times x, both of them look like x's, 6 times x equals to 6 times 5, which equals to 30. So we're just pretending that that triangle is an x. Yeah, basically for like algebra as a concept, it's the same thing as this entire question. Yeah, people just don't have the time to like draw triangles and stuff. So, okay, if this stands for 40 books, then each of them stands for 10 books since there are 4 of them and we're trying to find one of them, right? So we have 40 divided by 4 equals to 10. Okay, I'll try picking up the pace a bit. The area of, okay, I think one or two of you, I forgot, but one or two of you didn't read the question very closely. So they're asking for the area of both shapes. So I think some of you wrote the area and perimeter of the square, which is not what you're supposed to do. Okay, anyways, the area of the rectangle, or we remember that area equals to length times breadth, right? So in this case, we do 3 times 5, which is 15. And some of you forgot your units, so it's very important that you write the square meters here. And then the area of the square. So to find the area of the square, we need this and we need this, right? So we see that the rectangle and the square have the same perimeter. So we need to find the rectangle's perimeter first, which is 3 plus 5, 3 plus 5 plus 5 plus 3, also known as 8 times 2. So our perimeter is 16. And since we know it's a square, we know that each side of the square is the same length. And a square has 4 sides, so we can say that the length of each side of the square is 16 divided by 4 equals to 4. So each side of the square will be 4 meters. All right, and then to find the area of the square, we can just take 4 times 4 equals to 16. So our answer is 16 square meters. This one should be pretty simple. You just take 250 times 6. 0 times 6 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30. 2 times 6 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. So we get 1,500 milliliters. But they're asking us to put our answers in liters and milliliters. So we have to convert that into 1 liter and 500 milliliters. This one you all got right, I think. B is the right angle here because it's exactly there. C is a little bit bigger than a right angle, so it might be a little bit confusing, but a right angle is like that, the line I drew, not that. Okay. Anyways, the distance from Meili's house to the library, so we know the distance from her house to school, and we know the distance from school to the library. So to find this distance, we know that it's this distance minus this distance. So if we calculate that, and I'm not going to do it right now because we don't have that much. We do have quite a bit of time. I'll just demonstrate it. We can convert it first to all meters. 0, 5 minus 0 is 5, 7 minus 9, we can't do that, so we have to change it to 17. 17 minus 9 is 8, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So the answer is 850 meters. Okay, and we are on the last page of our homework for revision 9. Okay, a notebook costs 45 cents, and a pen costs 8 times as much as the notebook. What is the cost of the pen? This pen is pretty expensive. So if it costs 45 cents, and when we say 8 times as much as, we mean that it's literally 8 times of that, right? So we just take 45 cents times 8, and our answer is 360. I can do that on the side here. 5 times 8 is 40, and 4 times 8 is 32. And 32 plus 4 is 36. So our answer is 360 cents. Remember that this is in cents. And we don't usually say a lot of things in cents unless they're less than $1. So we have to convert that to dollars and cents. I don't think the question didn't ask you to convert it though. So if you left it as cents, then I'm cool with that. If you don't want to convert it, you could also, if you don't want to convert the end result, you could also just convert this 45 cents directly. You could say $0.45 times 8. And this one we're working with decimals, so we still have quite a bit of time, so I'm just going to give a small introduction on decimals, multiplication specifically. So to multiply a decimal by a whole number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we put the decimal point, the dot here in the same place. And then from then on, we can just do our multiplication normally. Like 5 times 8 is 40. 4 times 8 is 32, and 32 plus 4 is 36. Yeah, so we need to remember that this space can only fill 2 digits, 2 decimal places, in fact, because here there are only 2 digits after the dot. So that's something we need to take note of, but in the end we get our answer, which is $3.60. Of course, this should be easier for you right now because you haven't learned decimal, so I recommend just sticking to that. Okay. He took 20 minutes to walk from his house to his school, and then we can just draw a timeline here. If you want, you can write the locations, which is what I did, what I was trained to do in school. And he reached school at 7:10 a.m., but he took 20 minutes to walk there. So he left his house. Again, you can't do this. You can't write it like this. You can think that, but you can't write it down as working because that's incorrect. So you have to draw this timeline. And I think let's try dividing this into 10 minutes and 10 minutes. Just so it's easier to visualize. So this we have 7 o'clock a.m., right? It's the nearest hour, so then that should be easier to calculate. And then 10 minutes off from 7 a.m., we have 6:50 a.m., which is pretty early, I think. I never did that. Right, so this question should also be pretty simple. 8 peanut biscuits and 6 coconut biscuits in one box. So first we have to find the number of biscuits in one box, right? Which is 8 plus 6 is 14. And then the number of biscuits in 5 boxes, which is just the number in one box times 5 equals to 70. Alternatively, another way of doing this is that you can find the number of peanut biscuits in 5 boxes and the number of coconut biscuits in 5 boxes. So let's just say P for peanut in 5 boxes is 8 times 5 equals to 40. And then C in 5 boxes, 6 times 5 equals to 30. And we see that total number of biscuits in 5 boxes is 40 plus 30, which gives us the same answer, 70. So you can do this either way. I don't really have a preference, but yeah. Does anyone have any questions about the homework? Okay. If there are no questions, let's see. Okay, next thing I want you guys to try is revision 7 and 8 right now. I'm going to show the pages on my screen, like that. Yeah, I think you should be able to see this, right? Okay, I'm gonna show these revisions on my screen. I'm gonna leave about 4 to 5 minutes for each page because I think these questions should be pretty simple. 4 to 5 minutes for each page, and if you need more time, you can let me know. But yeah, I'm going to let you guys finish revision 7 and revision 8, which is somewhere down there. Where is it? Okay, here. Revision 7 and revision 8, since you already did revision 9. I'm not going to go through the revisions from the previous workbooks and stuff, like, because there are questions that talk about topics that we already learned in like the first few chapters of like 3A workbook 1, workbook 3A workbook part 1. Yeah, so I'm just gonna let you guys get started on that, and I have the answers written
I done
here.
before.
You've done it. Okay. Both revision 7 and 8. Okay, if you've done revision 7 and not 8, then I suppose you can just start on 8 now. And if you have it, but if you've done both, then
I also did 8.
oh, you did both already. Um, hmm. Okay. I guess you could try like some of the other exercises in the book that I haven't asked you to do, like the ones I don't know. Yeah. Or you could just like relax for now since you've already done it. Right. Anyways, the rest of you who haven't finished these two revisions, you can get out a piece of paper maybe and start working on them. You have 4 minutes for this page, I'd say, and your time starts now. You can ignore this part of revision 9 because it's just there so that the revision is small enough to fit on the screen. Okay, does anyone need more time on this page? Okay, if not, then I will move on to the next page. I'm also gonna turn off my mic actually. Uh, if you need me to go back to the previous page or anything like that, you can just say it. I won't say anything throughout though, since I don't want to disturb you. Okay, hi. Does anyone need more time to finish the revisions? If you want me to go back to a page that you missed or something, then I can do that. Okay, if not, then I'm going to start going through the answers, which are here somewhere. Okay, so starting with revision 7. Probably should have not shown you the answers first. My original plan was to get you guys to answer this question, but now that I've shown you my answers, then I guess there's no point in that. So sorry. If you want, you can ask questions throughout while I'm going through these, or whatever you want. All right? Okay. So to find the greater fraction for each of these parts, we need to convert the fractions to either have the same denominator or the same numerator. Same denominator or the same numerator, right? So we get 2 out of 5 equals to 4 out of 10 because we're multiplying both sides by 2. You could also make both of these 14 because that's the smallest common multiple or whatever it's called. Yeah, but obviously it's easier to go to 10 from 5 because it's just multiple by 2. So yeah, here we can just compare the numerators and we get 7 and 4. So 7 is obviously bigger than 4, so our answer should be 7 out of 10 is the greater fraction. This one, same thing, we convert the denominators. We convert the entire fraction by multiplying both sides by 2. So we have 2 out of 6, and we look at 5 and we look at 2 and we decide 5 is bigger, so our answer is 5 out of 6. This one, I'll actually try demonstrating with making the numerator the same this time. So, okay. 5 out of 12 is the same as 15 out of 36, right? And 3 out of 4 is the same thing as 15 out of 20, right? Like you could also make it, say 30 out of 72 or 30 out of 40. But that's a hassle, first of all, and it's not the smallest common multiple. So what I mean by a common multiple is like say we have two numbers 2 and 3. And the smallest common multiple is 6, right? Because 2 is a factor of 6, remember what we did just now, and 3 is a factor of 6 as well. So if, yeah, like for example, you don't have to have this times this equals to that to make it the smallest common multiple, but in this case, you haven't learned anything about common multiples yet, so we can just do that for now. So 15 out of 36 and 15 out of 20. This time we're looking at the denominator, obviously, because the numerators is the same. And we're looking for the greater fraction, so we're looking for the smaller denominator, which might be kind of confusing, but you will get used to it. If you think it through, if you like picture like the pie or something, then it makes sense. So yeah, 3 out of 4 is the greater fraction. And then here, this is 4 out of 8 to make the denominator the same. And then we compare 3 and 4 is bigger. So the answer is half rather than 3 out of 8. At a zoo, the tigers are fed at 9:45 a.m. The lions are fed 20 minutes later. And then we can draw our timeline here. 40 minutes. And then 10:25 a.m. You need to read the question very carefully for these time questions, because like if this could say earlier, and if we missed that, then our answer would be wrong. So just be careful about that. In this one, we also have to draw a timeline. The concert starts at 1:20 p.m. They arrived at 12:50 p.m. So the duration between 12:50 and 1:20 is 30 minutes. So that's our answer. These should be pretty simple. What I did for these questions is I converted the dollars to cents first. So this is 200 cents. And 200 is 4 times 50, because like you could say 200 divided by 50 equals to 4. And then for this, it's 300 cents. So that's 30 times 10. You don't need the cents for these. You don't need like any units for these numbers, because then like cents times cents would be cents squared, which doesn't make any sense because it's not the real thing. Yeah. Moving on, this one you don't have to convert because it's all in dollars. So 50 is 10 times 5. 50 divided by 10. 50 divided by 5 is 10. 100 divided by 10 is 10. Okay, this one is less math than like just common sense, which I don't really expect you guys to know because you haven't been learning with the metric system. So like I told you like how many like feet a meter is, but I don't expect you to remember that really, because even I don't remember that. It's like 3 point something, right? Whatever. Just know that a meter, yeah, you can just look at these sentences and just, I don't know, kind of guess how big a meter is, or like how much a milliliter is, right? So when you see cloth, we know that it's probably about length, right? Because you don't really care about the weight of a dress unless like the weight can vary a lot. And the volume is definitely not, because you don't count cloth with volume or capacity, sorry. So here we're looking at meters, centimeters, and kilometers for part A, right? So here our answer just should be meters, just based on common sense, I suppose. And because centimeters is obviously too small, and kilometers doesn't make sense because you wouldn't need that much cloth to make a dress. Kilometers is like really, really big. The capacity of a cup is 200 milliliters. So when you see capacity, you should automatically think liters or milliliters. But obviously 200 liters is really, really, really big. So our answer should be milliliters because it's just a cup, right? Okay, 500 grams of flour to bake a cake. Again, like a kilogram is really heavy, so 500 kilograms, I don't think you need that much to bake a cake. So yeah, our answer there is 500 grams. Bought an air pot. I actually don't know what an air pot is, but 3 liters of water, because that's the capacity of water. We measure water in volume, but in this textbook you learned about capacity rather than volume. But yeah, because there are like other units for volume, like I think I mentioned this before, cubic centimeters or like cubic meters and stuff like that. the distance from a house to the bird park. Like, I'm pretty sure bird park is not walking distance from anyone's house, but it's not like you guys would know that because you didn't live in Singapore and you probably don't know what the Singapore bird park is. So that's fine, I think. 10 groups of children visited an ice cream factory on Saturday. So each group, there were 10 groups, right? So 28 times 10 groups is 280. And I like to write these statements out because it's just easier that way. And they gave us the number of girls and they want us to find the number of boys. Why does it keep on making an arrow? Right, so the number of boys is the total number of children minus the number of girls, which is 144. $20, 160 on bus fare, and $5.40 on lunch. Okay, this one you could do two ways. You could find the total amount spent, which I did, which is $7 by taking the bus fare plus the lunch. And then after that, we could just take 20 minus the total amount spent, and that gives us our answer, 13. However, you could also say 20 minus 160. Total minus bus fare is 1840. And 1840 is total minus bus fare, right? And we still need to subtract the lunch. So we just take 1840 minus 540. Notice I'm saying like 540, but the correct way to say it is $5.40. I'm just lazy, I suppose. $13, right? So you get the same answer. So you can do it either way. And let's go to revision 8. This one should be pretty simple. You look at it and you should know it's plus 8, plus 8, plus 8, and so on. I won't go through that much. But because like for now, you're only really dealing with pluses and minus for number patterns. So yeah, just don't worry about it. So it's minus 9, plus 20, minus 200. 45 stalks of carnations. We just get that from the graph here, right? And yeah, like I said, I recommend writing the number like at the end of the bar for each when you're dealing with bar graphs. Number of roses was how many more than the number of stalks of daisies. So we look at this, and we say 60 minus 40, and our answer is 20. And the total number, you can just add the numbers all up, which I think you guys should be able to do by now. Okay, our last page for the day. This one you also should be drawing a timeline. 2:15 p.m. 6:05 p.m. The PM's pretty important, so don't forget it. And here we just yeah, it's 3 hours and 50 minutes. I think you guys should know how to do this, so I won't go in depth. 45 minutes. Yeah, this one, just draw another timeline. And then, yeah. We can like subtract 20 first, like 20 minutes to have 12 p.m. and then 25 minutes to get 11:35 a.m. Area and perimeter, this should be pretty simple. For area, you can just count the squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's 11 square centimeters. And for the perimeter, you just count around the edge, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And it's 16 centimeters, and you can do the same thing with the other figure. This one, it's even simpler. You just add all these numbers. 13 plus 5 plus 10 plus 7. And that's 4 plus 2 plus 10 plus 12 plus 8. And that is it. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Questions for like the entirety of what we've been learning so far? Like just any chapter from the first chapter we did to the last chapter. Reason I'm asking this is because I think today is going to be our last lesson for Singapore Math Level 3. Yeah, because we ran out of chapters to teach. So today was just basically a review day of everything we've done so far. And yeah, if you want to continue on to Singapore Math Level 4, because that's the next level after 3, if you want to continue after level 3 to 4, you can sign up then. I'm not really sure how the sign up process works because they never told me anything about it. But yeah. It might be me teaching, it might not be me teaching, but yeah, I think that should be it. So obviously, since this is our last lesson, you will not have any homework. And that will be it. You're free to leave now.
My best friend is coming over to visit.
Oh, really? Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.